If it seems the Commission questioning is futile, we will bring it to an end. If that is necessary, it will still be possible for the Commission to reach a conclusion in relation to many relevant factual matters from the many documents already in evidence, together with the evidence of the other witnesses.
So feedback from the lawyers is going to be very positive.
Thank you.
In relation to Cardinal Pell, the Royal Commission is presently part heard in 2 case studies in which he is involved. One study, number 28, as I've just indicated, relates to the Diocese of Ballarat, and the other case study, number 35, relates to the Archdiocese of Melbourne. Cardinal Pell was a priest in Ballarat and for a time was one of the consultants to the Bishop of the Diocese, Bishop Mulkhearns. In that role, he had responsibilities, together with the other consultants, to give evidence to the Bishop about the appointment of priests to particular parishes, and also to advise on other matters more generally relating to the administration of the diocese. Cardinal Pell was a consultant at a time when some of the priests who have offended against children were serving in the diocese, and was present at meetings where the appointment of priests, including at least one who is a known offender, were considered. Cardinal Pell took up a position as auxiliary bishop in the Melbourne Archdiocese in 1987. He continued in that role until 1996, when he was appointed the Archbishop of Melbourne. The evidence presently before the Commission indicates that he had responsibilities as an auxiliary bishop for areas of the Archdiocese where at least one offending priest was located. He was as an auxiliary bishop, a member of the Archbishop's Personal Advisory Board and a member of the Curia. During his period as Archbishop, he of course had ultimate responsibility for the management of the Archdiocese. Because of Cardinal Pell's role in both Ballarat and Melbourne, the Commissioners consider it essential that he give evidence and explain his actions during relevant periods. Apart from his roles in Ballarat and Melbourne, Cardinal Pell was the Archbishop of Sydney. In Melbourne, he was responsible for creating the Melbourne Response and gave evidence when the Melbourne Response was examined in a case study. When he was the Archbishop of Sydney, the John Ellis case was litigated, and Cardinal Pell has given evidence about that matter and the operation of the Towards Healing program in the Sydney Archdiocese. The matters about which the Commissioners presently seek the assistance of Cardinal Pell are separate from the matters about which he has already given evidence. When Cardinal Pell first gave evidence before the Royal Commission, he was resident in Sydney. On the second occasion, when the Melbourne Response was discussed, arrangements were made for him to give evidence by video link to Rome, where he is now resident in the Vatican. The evidence which he will be asked to give in the present proceedings is more extensive than he has previously given in relation to the Melbourne Response. At the hearing in Melbourne on the 11th of December last year, counsel for Cardinal Pell indicated that because of his present health, the Cardinal had been advised that he should not take long international aeroplane flights, and for that reason the Cardinal sought to have his evidence given by video link. The Commissioners did not accede to that application. On that occasion I said, quote, "Given the complexity of the issues involved and the fact that there are 2 case studies presently before the Commission covering an extensive period of time, coupled with the technical difficulties in Rome of the previous video evidence when the Cardinal was in Rome, it is preferable that his evidence be given in person in Australia. In the hope that the Cardinal's health might improve, we deferred further consideration of the course which should be taken. Since the matter was considered in December, I am advised that the technical difficulties which existed on the last occasion have been addressed and that a feed from Rome should now be satisfactory. However, because of the other matters that I previously indicated to be relevant, it remains preferable, although it could not be said to be essential, that Cardinal Pell give evidence in person in Australia. Mr Myers QC, who appears for Cardinal Pell, has renewed the application that Cardinal Pell give his evidence by video link from Rome. In support of that application, he tendered a medical report from Professor Procedural, the Director of Complex Care Emergency Tor Gavata, University Teaching Hospital, Rome, dated 29 January 2016. The report confirms the evidence previously before the Commission and indicates that Cardinal Pell is suffering from hypertension, for which he is being treated, ischemic heart disease, complicated by a previous myocardial infarction, cardiac dysfunction related to the arterial hypertension and previous ischemia, and some other issues not of immediate relevance. The professor concluded as follows: all the above-mentioned functional and clinical changes have a negative synergistic effect with regard to your cardiovascular and respiratory functional capacity, in particular when going on a small walk, on even slight physical exertion, when preparing to spend prolonged periods in a depressurised environment, airplane flight, with consequent relative hematic hypoxia and increase in blood pressure. Due to that outlined above, the professor says the undertaking of a long journey could induce an episode of heart failure, and were this to occur during a flight, it would also be difficult to treat. In conclusion, the professor said the clinical problems which your eminence presents therefore make it difficult for you to undertake a flight to Australia, which could entail serious risks to your health. Although people with the conditions that Cardinal Pell has may fly long distances, it is apparent from the medical report that in the case of Cardinal Pell, there is a risk to his health if he undertook such travel at the present time. Having regard to the nature of his ailments, it could not be expected that his health is likely to improve and remove those risks. Although it remains preferable that he give evidence in Australia, when the alternative that he give evidence by video link is available, the Commissioners are satisfied that course should be adopted. I'm informed by Ms Finesse that there will not be time to take the Cardinal's video evidence in the period set aside for the further hearing in Ballarat. Accordingly, we will program Cardinal Pell's evidence to commence on Monday, the 29th of February, when the Commission will be sitting in Sydney. It is expected that his evidence may take 3 sitting days. The Commission staff will discuss with those representing Cardinal Pell the precise hearing times, which will have to differ from our usual sitting times. As soon as they have been determined, they will be announced by the Commission in the usual way. Ms Finesse, is there anything further today?
No, Your Honour.
And is there anything that needs to be raised by any other party? Nothing in Sydney. What about in Melbourne?
In Melbourne, Your Honour, Paul Edouard, SC, Mr Sleeman and others, we made application to Your Honour on Friday that the medical report be released. Now, I renew that application, Your Honour.
That's the report in relation to Bishop Mulkhearns?
No, Cardinal Pell.
Or Cardinal Pell?
No, Cardinal Pell, Your Honour.
Well, Mr Edouard, I've told you in my reasons the essence of that report. I'm not going to go further than that. And
I'm sorry, I
In my reasons, I have given you the essence of that report. I've gone further than we went on Friday.
Well, if Your Honour would hear me on that, I raised matters on Friday, Your Honour, which we would contend have not been addressed by Your Honour. That's the first proposition. The second proposition is that if the Cardinal relies upon a medical report, the contents of that medical report, even given which Your Honour's revealed, are not open to public scrutiny. In our respectful submission, they should be.
Well, Mr O'Dwyer, I've made the decision which I've made for the reason that I have sought to balance everyone's interests. But I repeat to you again, what I have given you in my reasons is the critical elements in that report which go beyond those which were discussed publicly on Friday. And you've seen the report, you know what I'm saying.
I do, Your Honour.
Yeah.
The other matter, Your Honour, is that currently we have provided the Commission, or I have provided the Commission with an undertaking. Now that undertaking precludes me from obtaining any expert advice in relation to that. In my respectful submission, one of the issues in this case is the fact that the Church, and particularly Archbishop Pell, has a continuous history of attempting to, or rather non-disclosure, and we would contend that this report, this medical report, is more of the same.
Well, Mr O'Dwyer, I don't share that view. I stress to you, for everyone who has an interest in the matter, that what I have put into the reasons which I've read out today are the essential elements in that report. All I have left out are some matters which are not of direct relevance to his capacity to give evidence after a journey to Australia. But I don't see the public need for those matters to be discussed. And they certainly have not in any way influenced the decision.
What about this proposition, Your Honour? What if that view, that those conditions preclude the Cardinal from safely flying to Australia, are wrong? Are wrong?
Well, I've made the decision, Mr O'Dwyer. Is there anything else to be said?
Your Honour, my name's David Grace for Bishop Mulkhearns. I take it from Your Honour's reasons that you would be content for my instructors to be in touch with Commission personnel to arrange the IT arrangements for the transmission of the video link from the nursing home to the courtroom in Ballarat in due course. Of course, it would assist if we were advised of the specific dates that link would be needed.
There'll be a discussion, Mr Grace. As I made apparent in the reasons, though, I don't at the moment know whether that link can be established effectively, and if it can't be, then the arrangement will have to be different and could include him coming to the court.
Yes. Our advice from IT experts as of today is that it is possible for the link to be established, but there would need to be some advanced testing.
Well, all those things need to be discussed, but I stress again, it's not very far away that the hearing will take place, and if it can't be done effectively from the nursing home, other arrangements will have to be made.
Yes, I understand that, sir. Thank you.
Is there any other matter to be raised? Yes.
Yes, there is, Your Honour. Jim Shaw for survivors, Messrs Collins and Wood. Yesterday at 3:30, Mr Collins, for whom I act, took a short video of Bishop Mulkhearns walking around in the grounds of Nazareth House. He's provided that, I understand, through my instructor to the Commission, so it's been filed. I would like to tender that video.
Well, I've made the decision. Can I tell you that I've actually seen, I think, some of the stills out of that video?
Your Honour's seen... So
I've
having a
seen
bit of trouble hearing it.
I've seen some of the stills out of that video. I suspect it's the same one. And you would remember that the doctor who gave the opinion indicated that Bishop Mulkhearns can take short walks supported by his walking frame.
Yes.
I'm not sure that there's more that the video would add.
I'm not asking the Commission to in any way change the ruling, obviously, because but given there is, in one sense, a dearth of evidence on this point, in that all there is the report, which was obviously shown to those of us at the bar table on Friday. There was no opportunity for anyone to test that evidence. There was, both because of the time involved and the undertakings that were given. So I simply asked that as a matter of, I suppose, fairness to all parties, even though it comes ex post facto, that video be tendered and simply be evidence before the Commission.
Mr. Grace, do you have any difficulty with that?
Yes, sir. It's completely irrelevant to the evidence that's been given before the Commission, and it's covered in any event by the ruling that you've given today. It can add absolutely nothing to the body of evidence that this Commission is going to be considering in due course.
Ms. Furness?
Your Honour, the video is evidence of nothing. It's evidence of a man walking around.
You've seen it, haven't you?
I have. Well, I've seen stills from it.
Yeah.
I'm assuming it's Bishop Mulkhearns. I've got no way of knowing one way or the other.
Mr. Shaw, is it going to assist in any way?
Well, the Commission has ruled regarding Bishop Mulkhearns' ability to give evidence. I simply say this, that if things change or if there's more information coming from the Bishop's doctors, for example, on the day he gives evidence, this may be some evidence that goes to that. To say it's irrelevant, I suggest with respect he's completely wrong.
Mr. Shaw, can I interrupt you? Sorry.
Yes, certainly.
I can understand how you may ultimately put its relevance. It doesn't seem immediately relevant today, but
No.
But can I ask you to do this? Don't lose it. And if it should emerge when Bishop Mulkhearns comes to give his evidence that it is relevant, then you can renew the tender.
Yes, look, I certainly accept that. First of all, there's an electronic copy with the Commission now. It's been sent electronically. It only goes for about 10 seconds. But I would say this: its relevance to the applications made on Friday is no more because Your Honour has ruled. However, it's late only because of the rather unusual circumstances of this application. I'd simply ask, perhaps for no other reason than this is a public inquiry, that it simply be on the record that as yesterday this man was walking around as seen in the video, and that's just as much evidence as an expert opinion as to his state of health, I submit.
Well, yes, but it is consistent with the doctor's opinion that we already had, that he can do that.
Yes, all right.
So again, can I ask you just to reserve the position, and if it becomes relevant during the course of the hearing, then of course I'll accept its tender at that stage.
Well, given what you've just said, could I ask that it be marked for identification?
We won't lose it. I think
I'll just simply say there's a record that I did attempt its tender, and that may be of some significance to the people I act for.
Well, we've recorded the last minutes of discussion. I don't think there's any doubt now that you've sought to get it into evidence. But I stress again, if it does become relevant, then of course it will be received into evidence at that time. All right?
Commission, please.
Yeah. Anything else?
Yes, sir. Mr. Shaw, I either advertently or inadvertently mentioned the name of the place where Bishop Mulkhearns is residing. I ask that name be suppressed.
Well,
I'm concerned about security issues.
Mr. Grace, everyone in Ballarat knows where he is, I'm afraid.
Well,
If you look at
they may know, but people not in Ballarat may not know, and I would seek that name be suppressed, sir. I'm concerned about security issues for him and also inconvenience and disruption to other residents of that particular establishment.
Mr. Grace, I wouldn't make an order suppressing something when it has no utility. I even understand that there have been ribbons attached to the fence outside the nursing home identifying the place where Bishop Mulkhearns is staying. I'm not going to make an order that has no utility. Anything further? Ms. Fennett?
No, Your Honour.
Yeah. Very well, then I'll adjourn.
All set?